Hey Dude,
The 90s Called,
with Christine Taylor and David Lascher.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hey Dude, The 90s Called. I am one of your co-hosts, Christine.
I am your other co-host, David.
Hi, David.
I'm a little tongue-tied today. This is take 3 of just the first 10 seconds.
Hey, you're ruining the illusion that we
No. Yeah, we're perfect.
that we always do this so perfectly.
How is your summer going? What's up with you right now?
Summer is good. It is yes, it's flying by, don't you think? I feel like we're at the end of July, which is nuts. It's always too fast because I love summer.
Me too. Last night, it was just like the sky was completely red and sitting outside. It's like a warm night. And I just want to like slow it down. You know, everything's flying.
Yes. I always like the sort of anticipation of like back to school. But it doesn't matter. I'm trying to stay in the present.
Yeah,
I'm staying in the present.
Don't go there.
We're still in July. We're not at the end of August yet. We can still enjoy it. And our guest, who will be on with us shortly, and I have Merrin Dungey, who is a very dear friend of mine. We are fellow Leos, so we both have birthdays coming up. We both have birthdays around the corner.
Jill is a Leo, my wife Jill, and today's her birthday. Yeah, happy birthday, Jill.
Happy birthday, Jill.
Oh, you're
That's
a Leo.
So awesome. I'm a Leo.
Gosh. So
and Merrin is a Leo. Merrin and I are a week apart in birthdays. So when I asked her to come on and do this, she said, perfect, right ahead of our birthdays. We'll get to catch up. This is honest to God. And I know we said this with Carson, that it takes asking a friend to come on a podcast to catch up with them and to see them, because I have not seen Merrin in years. I mean, the pandemic, of course, kept us all apart from each other, but I hadn't seen her for probably since we moved to New York. Like, you know, I mean, I've seen her a few times, but this is going to be the first time I am seeing her face, not, in a production. And Merrin has been very involved in the SAG strike. So I really want to talk to her a little bit about that. I know that maybe for some of our listeners, that might be not the hot topics.
Well, the interesting part about it that I read is that her sister is the CEO of Warner Brothers Television. So they're on opposite sides of this very, heated conflict. Or I'm interested in hearing about that, if it's affecting how they deal with that.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And they're super, super, super close. They're an awesome family. And aside from all of that, Merrin and I would say, have probably spent most of our 90s together in some form of another. Either we worked together for a period of time, and then we were in the same friend circle. I was, dating a guy at the time, and she was, best friends with most of the people in that group of people. And we were seeing music. It was such a 90s. It was real. Like, when I asked her to come on, she was like, I don't know that we can talk about all of our 90s adventures in less than an hour, but let's have at it.
All right. Well, listen, I'll let you guys have your coffee catch up, and I will be the audience and just chime in with, my little questions, but I'm happy for you guys to catch up.
No. You've got to ask, you got to ask the hard hitting questions, David. I'm kidding. This is not a hard-hitting type show.
Well, there's a lot we can't talk about. Should we tell our audience that we can't mention the names of shows? I mean, we're in support of the writers and the actors in this dispute. But Merrin's happy to come on and talk about things, and we can allude to, I guess, her.
Yeah, exactly. I think, the sort of thought behind it is that really no promoting any work by name. Right. So any of our listeners might know references we're talking about, shows and appearances that might have been made, but we're really going to make an effort to stick with our fellow actors. And, this podcast really never was about promotion for anybody. It was really to come on and take a trip down memory lane. Right. So this should be great. It should be, It should be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. And we can say, oh, that show with the UPS driver, or the show with the girl who kicked everybody's butt.
So, without further ado, let us say a hi to Merrin Dungey. I can't believe I'm going to see her face.
Hi.
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 Congratulations on your engagement.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
So happy for you.
Did you ever do Kevin and Bean? Did you ever do the show?
I think like back in the 90s.
Sure.
Should we? I think back in the 90s.
Right around. Get ready. Yep.
But wait, not in years and years and years.
You're engaged to one of the hosts of Kevin and Bean.
I am engaged to Kevin Ryder.
Oh, wow. And they've been doing it since the 90s?
Yeah, they did it for 30 years together. And then Kevin was like Kevin in the Mornings for like 4 months before the pandemic happened. And then it all fell. Now he's on KLOS with Sluggo. So it's a whole different show. And it's not the mornings. He doesn't have to do mornings anymore, which was like,
5
getting
a.m.
up at 3, right?
Although it's so funny because when we first started dating, like he would wake up like on cue, like 4 a.m. and like have to have a snack and then like get back to bed. Like 30 years, you can't get around.
No,
that.
your body, your inner clock does it for you, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But how great to do to be on the radio for 30 years. I mean,
2-time Hall of Famer, like it's crazy. They
incredible.
Had a crazy run. It was very, very successful.
Wait, how did you guys meet, if I could ask?
Literally doing the show. Like I
knew it. You were a guest on his show and he hit on you.
And he was like, hey, because I remember when we were doing our show and I think that you went to go do it. And I was like, oh, like it's all I ever wanted to do was Kevin and
I remember that. And also Love Line.
We did Love Line.
We did that together.
We did that together. We totally did that together. And like I remember like I did like one of their bits. Like they used to say jackhole instead of like jackass. They would combine it. Like that was a Jimmy Kimmel. And I remember we did it and Adam Carolla was like, what? And then Jimmy called and was like, she said it. She actually said jackhole. Like, so like I was like taking it further. Jimmy Kimmel. Anyway, so I didn't get to do the show until 2015. I became friends with Ralph Garman on Twitter, and he was like, "You should come in." I was on a show.
You were on a show. You were on that show.
That's
about okay. You were on a show,
and
we already clarified that with our listeners that we are going to allude to probably things that we've been in, but we're not naming names. So
yeah, very hard. But I was on a show and they had me come in to promote it. And I brought in cupcakes. Like I was like so excited. And both of us were married at the time. So it wasn't like I was like going in there to be all like, hey, and I was so excited to meet him. And I had a funny story about their producer who, for whatever reason, would not like let me come in when I was on another very successful show that I loved. And when I brought that up, Kevin was like, "What?" And so then it became. I was on the show. I was on the air for an hour with them, which he tells me now, like they never did that. Like they never had a guest stay on that long because they were like, "Let's get back to the music." And so then we became friends. And so then I kept coming back in to be a guest. And then finally in 2019, I covered for Allie McKay in the morning. And then that was when it was like, when we were both divorced and he mentioned something. And I was like, oh my God, it's you. This whole time it's been you. I've been looking for you this whole time.
Oh my God.
That's so organic.
So romantic.
Yeah.
And I was going to say you would have, I was, before you said that you went in and filled in, I was like, you could so be a radio personality.
Thank you.
Could,
I would love it. Amazing.
You could do that in a heartbeat. Are you kidding?
Thank you. However, doesn't exist. Like
I know.
It's a dying breed. And like most of those, not most of them, but some of those, serious channels and things are AI now.
What do you mean? A computer host? Because
all I have to do is play, Karma Chameleon and then bring up a fact. Like the computer knows the fact about, in 1984, this song was, whatever, it charted it, blah, 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 blah. And like, then and back to the music. That's one thing that they can absolutely eradicate. I mean, you can never take away, like, it's so funny now that Kevin's on KLOS, the afternoon drive has like, they run that market. Like they were the #1 rock station last year. They won like an award for it because you can't imitate that organic comedy and that, like, you know, the bits and the call-ins. Like, you can't do that with a computer.
Yes, the little sort of tidbits and the improvisation and the jokes, and you cannot. It's probably so sterile and stale that way. But if people are just there for the music, which of course people are, but I really feel like when you get a personality, like that's
look what you're doing.
Why they're there. Yes, exactly.
I crave a podcast because I love the voices. I want to hear what you're doing. I want to know what's going on. I want to hear from your guests. And, you know, like
that's why we're looking back on the 90s decade, because there's so much about that decade that was so colorful and so human. And I miss it. I mean, a lot of people do. They're nostalgic for it.
Yeah, truly.
My son, Quinn, who's now 18. I know. When we talk about, because I told David beforehand, I think I would say probably almost all of our 90s, with the exception of a few early years of the 90s when I was with you, David, doing our show, we were like together for most of that entire decade.
Completely.
From our work to our friend group to all of it. I mean, New Year's Eves.
Oh my God.
All of it. All of it. I
really think the last time I saw you, no, that's not true. Because I saw you at the Cheesecake Factory when I was pregnant. You and I had lunch.
The Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, perfect for a pregnant woman.
Was it like between movies or something? Like we were at the movie theater or something?
You had to go to the American Girl doll store to get a bunch of stuff for your daughter, who is now adult.
21, yes.
But before that, the last time, Quinn was a baby. Like you were breastfeeding him.
I can't believe it. What I was going to bring up, because that just reminds me of how old we are when we talk about that. And let's remember when we were young and it was the 90s. But Quinn is doing a summer program and he got an email that said, make sure you bring an analog form, something to take analog notes. Like, in other words, they meant don't bring your computer, bring a notebook. Like, but why do they have to say an analog version of taking note? Like, what other options are there?
Analog.
But he goes, Mom, what does that mean?
That
analog.
Dumbest and easiest thing I've ever heard. But I love that we are the last generation that is analog and digital. Like, we remember, all of, like, when my mom would have to write a check on a Friday to get money for the weekend before, because there's no ATMs. Like, you'd have to write the check out, cash it, and then get your money.
Yes. No, we are that generation for sure.
We still hang up a phone. Like, I never you don't.
And the entertainment business has changed so dramatically, right, over the last few years. I feel like, cable came in and it changed dramatically, and then it was on a great path for so many years. And then comes Netflix and streaming, and everyone's seduced by it. Even we were, right? I mean, all our shows are now having a new life, and there was a lot of positives, more shows being made. But I mean, what is your opinion about how the entertainment industry has changed since you started?
Well, the best part about it is that there is so many more opportunities for people of color. Because when I was on our show, I was always the
sassy sidekick.
I was the best friend. Like I used to I did stand up for like a minute, and like I had this thing called like the wheel of casting for like black color. Like it was like I could be the boss, or I could be like the person who gives advice. Like, and it's all those. There's just and I remember I did a pilot once, and they couldn't get the lead. They couldn't figure it out, and then they ended up getting this British guy who was black, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired, because they couldn't have two. It was really a weird time. And now it's, so my opportunities have grown exponentially. Even though we are now doing 8 episodes, like I'm doing a show now that's 8 episodes, and there's no reruns. TiVo killed the entertainment industry because it's the same way that Napster killed the music industry. When you realize
no commercials.
and no commercials. So that's the only answer to ending this is, and I think it's fair to say, okay, so the great news is you have one of the streaming services, and it has a bunch of old shows that you love, but it also has new shows and new shows that drop with the whole season. But I would still pay to have access to that library of old things and to be able to binge my new show if there's commercials. I would still do it, because you don't have that. It would still be different than network television, because on network, you don't have access to all those old things. But, if you go to any one of your streaming services and you want to watch, these cartoons or these animated movies or these, that old show I love from the 90s, but I also can get my other things in a binge, I pay for commercials.
Yeah, advertisements make the American economy go round, and cutting them out of anything is dangerous business.
Well, it's the only answer. Because it is a Ponzi scheme that they have created, in that, like, all those streams of those episodes do not make them money. It just, even in my household, there's essentially 6 of us. Kevin has 2 grown-up daughters and I have 2 daughters, but we have 2 subscriptions to each thing, maybe still, so that there's 6 people, because my kids aren't going to pay for a subscription, and that it doesn't add up to the dollars. You know what I'm saying? So that I think that's the only answer. Is like, you've just got to now and they're seeing that, like, they're one of the first biggest streaming platform is starting to take that tier away where you don't have commercials anymore. I mean, where you have to watch them. So that is what's coming.
Right. And it's just, for our generation, that's what we did. We knew that. It was what you just did. In fact, it was some of those commercials that you would sing the jingles, and some were so great. And those are the memories, right, Dave? Like, we all did them. Yeah. We all did the,
I just posted today the Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler, Bruce Willis one. Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler.
All of it.
I loved it. Like, we love all those things, And
by the way, and why is it okay on the Super Bowl that everybody looks forward to the commercials? That
right.
Day,
their commercials are the entertainment.
So it's the next generation. It's our kids. It's who have never had to wait. Everything is instant. Everything is bingeable. Everything is immediate and at the ready. And so that makes total sense. And it's certainly something we could all live with. Like, it doesn't seem that crazy to me, right?
It's not crazy. And first of all, I just want to, on the record, we here today on Hey Dude have solved the problem to the strike.
That's it, right?
Bring back
so
commercials and we're all good. Yeah.
Should we send this clip to Bryan Cranston so that he can?
Yes, please send it, and then we'll pass it on to Ryder. And you guys, we figured it out. It's amazing.
Yes. So I was going to say, let's Fran.
I think it's time for our kids to have to wait. I also think it's time for our kids to have to win. Like, they have to, like, win and lose. Like, that's the difference.
That not everybody gets a trophy for participating.
Oh yeah.
You don't. Yep.
Everybody's not a winner.
Everybody's not a winner.
Everybody's not the best at everything. It's not equal, it's so true. It's just.
Well, because everyone has their own strengths, right? So why encourage a kid who's not a great basketball player to continue basketball when he's probably a great artist or a musician? We're deceiving. Yeah, we can go on about that. We've had guests that have talked about the everybody wins culture.
Yeah.
Everybody wins. Everybody gets commercials. The end.
The end.
Well, how did you start into acting? You were a dancer?
I danced from when I was like 4. I was doing ballet, and then I did that till I was about 12, and then I started doing ice skating, and then I was on the drill.
How did I not know about the ice skating? That's like a thing. That's like a big deal
and
thing.
It's competitive.
That's not something anybody can do.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, to actually be a skater, and I watch the Olympics and I'm blown away because I'm like, I can barely stay level. Like, I'm not kidding. You think it
you
looks
use
so
one
easy,
of those
then you
like
get out there.
walkers, the ice walker.
I don't have to use the walker, but I take it really slow. And then I get a good glide going. But then you start to add tricks to it. Like, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I'm sure I did. I'm sure we talked about it.
I'm sure
35 years ago, but I can't believe that you were a skater.
I was a skater. I did it for, I think, maybe 4 years. And then it got to a place where it's like, okay, you either have to get super serious and like show up at 5 and do all the little like, patchwork. Or my mom was like, that or college. And I was like, that. And she's like, no, we're going to college.
Why did she ask you then?
I don't know. I was like, this is no choice. Like, but yes, I got all the way up to doing an axle. I can't do any of those. I can easily get out and like go backward and
skate,
spin, but I can't do a salchow anymore like that.
Right.
But I loved it. I mean, I loved it. And then my daughter actually did it for a minute and she was really good. And it was weird because I had a hairdresser on a show that I was doing whose best friend was Ty Babylonia, who I don't know if you know who she is. She was the first Black Olympian figure skater, like female figure skater. She and her partner, Randy Gardner, in like the 76 Olympics. And then, anyway, she came and taught my daughter. Like I'll send you video. It's the,
wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, skating and dancing are notorious for being very competitive worlds. And it's just you. It's like tennis. There's no team around you. It's just you. Well,
that's not true. I mean, a lot of dancings are like dance troupes. And like what I was doing was like ballet. It was more just, a good skill. And I love the performing. It wasn't like, because I was like, I'm gonna, be on the, I mean, I wish my mom never let me do like the like crazy dance squad stuff. Like, but it gave me the sense of like, I like to perform. I did piano for 13 years. Like I like to be on stage. Like I was never good at the theory of the piano stuff. I was always good at let's do the show.
The performance.
Right.
I stayed in dance. I took dance from like 3 to 13, and it was for the recital every year where you got your costume, you got to put on the makeup, stand in front, get cheered. And then, and in this case, if you lasted 5 years, they gave you a little 5-year trophy. And if you made it 10 years, you got the bigger trophy. And I only stayed in it for the trophy. I wanted the hardware so bad. I wanted that 5 and 10-year trophy. I mean, this was Allentown, Pennsylvania. So it was it wasn't everybody wins, but it was, if you stay in it long enough, we'll give you a little bit of a prize.
Wow.
The minute I got that 10-year trophy, I was out.
I remember wanting a trophy so bad one time because I never had any trophies. And then I started doing baits. And then that was when I could be like trophy. But yeah.
But it also, it probably prepared you for what it takes to be a successful actress, the work, the thick skin that you need,
Yes. I mean, and Christine, I'm sure, I mean, all of you, I'm sure that you guys all know that like the more, yes, you do need a thick skin because you can't do everything. But like I was very lucky to have a bunch of auditions. So like you kind of just would move through them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, yes, there were things like, there's a very famous, I can name people, right? Like not like Quentin Tarantino. Like I was up for a couple of movies of his and I was just like there are things that you're like, oh, I want this so much.
So badly. Yeah.
And, but for the most part, they kind of just like, I remember when I got into a really great mini series that was just out. And I remember my manager called and was like, okay, they've pinned you for the, and I was like, which one is that? Because it was a pilot season where there's so many things where I'm like, I don't remember. And he's like, it's the one with so-and-so and so-and-so. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. But yes, I think that, we get to win and lose all the time. And you're no one if you haven't been fired, you haven't been like recast, all those things make you, they either push you out because you can't handle it or you go, all right, well, it wasn't supposed to be this one.
Yeah.
That's exactly where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. That's sort of the thing.
Not everyone has the stomach or the heart for it, but
no. And I don't even know how anybody starts now either, because it's like we're doing it in this.
I know. And having kids, Ella's at, finishing up but she's got a 4th year at Juilliard, so she is moving into it. But the self tapes, there's no human, and I sound so old when I say it because it's also, there's the convenience of it, and there's the if you're playing the lottery, there's so many more tickets when you're doing the self tape, but you just don't get that personal moment of coming in and feeling chemistry or a connection, or the intangibles. Because I always felt like even when we had to do self tapes back in the day, or if a casting director said, we're bringing everybody in to put them on tape, you'd actually go to the place, they'd put you on tape, and I always was like, well, I'm never going to get it. I'm just, I don't think I translate in the 2D.
And I disagree that it's so many more lottery tickets, because I ran into our casting director, Geraldine Leader, not too long ago.
Stop.
Swear.
Okay.
Like we were literally like walking past each other, of course, coming in and going out of Bloomingdale's. And we were like,
of course.
We stood in the parking lot and talked for 20 minutes. But she was saying how she doesn't know how anyone starts, because half the battle was going to building 140 and being in that space with all those different casting directors and them getting to know you. And I remember I would send like just a thank you note, or if I had a great meeting, I'd send a thank you. If I got a part, I'd send a basket of muffins. If it was a series, I'd send it, whatever. But there was communication, and there was chemistry, and that energy. I mean, I at the very least, they should do a Zoom. Everything should be a Zoom, because
agreed. I agree. Yes.
Because you form relationships that you probably still have to this day. That young actors aren't forming those relationships with the people that make the decisions.
100%. And it's the seeds that you plant. It's not about like, I mean, I honestly would write the notes just to make a connection, to remind and say, hey, thanks, John Levy, for seeing me for X, Y, and Z or whatever. But it was going in there. My whole job is that's my job, is to act today. I get 15 minutes and leave it on the dance floor, like leave it in there, be great, because it may not be this one. And it often isn't this one. It's one down the road. They remember you've made this connection. And all of us here are people that were on that short list. So like they would, then you'd go to just right to producers, or you just go right to network. And it was, they knew, because their job is to like, they want this done. So they want to bring in the A team that they can count on. They know you're going to deliver, and those studio people still may not find you right for that, but they'll remember you because you were great in the room. It's about being great in the room. How can you be great if I'm just in this room alone?
Yes, by yourself.
Behind the door, and then the silencing, putting the dog outside, and like hoping the gardeners don't come. And it's awful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're right. And it goes back to what you were saying about the AI and the radio too. It's in a Zoom, you get to actually converse. You can make a joke. You can, be self-deprecating. You could laugh at yourself when you mess up. On the tapes, it's so if you mess up, you're not sending that in. You're redoing it, right? You're redoing it so that you're sending them, the best version.
I joke. I do a joke every time. I do a joke.
That's your
Are
secret.
You serious? On a self-tape?
That's how I got this series I'm on right now. Because
okay. So how do you do it? Talk us through it, because you're just by yourself. You're talking,
this is good stuff.
Yes, well, I want this. This is gold.
Usually, I try to do it with this. There's a group called Intrepid Tapes, and they will, back when it was pandemic, they would do the Zoom with you. They would tape you at home. And then now I'll go to their studio and do it. But I do it during a slate. I try and, because you got to give some personality so you can leave it. So I recently read for something that got, the movie isn't happening, which is super bum, but it was with a really great director. And I was playing a first 88, and it's one of those auditions where you're like, there's nothing to give. I literally would go, roll call. We ready? It's just all the lines of like, so when I did my slate, I love a costume. So I was like, all right, so you got to wear cargos because it's stretcher and like a hoodie. And I straight up had the old AirPod earbud and run it down my shirt so it looks like I have it. Come on. And I have
so good.
Have it happening. So then I was like fake talking to somebody, and my guy at Intrepid Tapes is like, he's like, "Oh, you're up," and I go, "Oh, hi, I'm Merrin Dungey, Los Angeles, 5'8.5." Okay, that's lunch, and then walked out.
Stop it.
And turned and walked, and got to meet the director.
I'm sure they laughed on the other side of that.
That's all they do, and then the same thing with my with the series that I did. I did like a bit, just something dumb, like I don't remember exactly what the bit was, but it was something about what I was wearing and like having no pants on or something stupid or whatever. But that's the only opportunity you have to. But I also have a reel behind me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So they go, "Oh, she's worked with."
Right. We know this person from this, and we can look at this also. But you're right. Just having even if it's just 5 seconds of something that shows a little bit of who you are, that's such great advice.
Can make all the difference. Yeah, this is great advice for young actors. Like that
it
few
really
minutes,
is.
Whatever. Even if it's a self-tape, that's your few minutes. If there's something you can do that's slightly different, that can show some color or something who you are, do it.
You don't want to go bananas and like get into a whole
right.
You don't want to go bananas. A little like walk into the wall. A little like prat some
appropriate to the character.
Right. No, that was pretty perfect. But so wait, so you grew up in Sacramento. The choice was given skating or college. I know you went to UCLA. And was that your dream to go to UCLA? And did you audition into UCLA?
I didn't, because at the time you didn't. At the time, they didn't audition to get into the theater program, and I wasn't trying to get into the theater program. I was trying to get into the film school because my parents had talked me out of being an actor there. Because at the time, and no fault of theirs, I remember I did something in 5th grade, and I was like so excited, and it was the narrator of this thing of deconstructed Cinderella, but it was the maid who was the narrator. And I come home, and I told my parents because I had all the lines, and I was so excited, and they're like, "But you're the maid." And so then my dad was like, "Listen, you can't be an actor because you're only going to be a prostitute, a maid, the bad guy." Like, because it was the 70s, 80s, and early 80s. And like, there were look at all those TV shows, that were out there. And if it was a show, it was like all black or nobody. And they were just like, "You're never going to have a job." So I decided I'll go into film because at least I can be an editor or a cinematographer or something and be a part of this world and actually have a career path. And then I kept auditioning for things and getting cast. And I was living with like a bunch of people. Like that's where I met like Anya. And so she was like my neighbor in the dorms. And I just kept all these theater majors, and I kept auditioning and getting cast as a freshman. And then I got in the acting awards as a freshman, and it's supposed to be for the people who are graduating. And then I won it as a sophomore and got an agent from that. And then they changed the rules because they're like, "This is not for the young people. This is for the older people." So like, but that was how it all sort of came to pass. I wasn't even a theater major at that point. So
that's crazy to me.
It's crazy. Denzel Washington gave me my award. It was really cool.
What?
That is amazing.
It's really crazy.
I see.
So you had to have gotten a lot of confidence, like to be the underclassman winning that award. And were you like, "Okay, mom and dad, like I'm getting, this is something."
It was really, it was. I remember Jack Black came up because he was at school with us at the time, and he was like, "You are our hope. Go!" Like, I was like but it did give me confidence, and it was such a bummer too, because my sister also was at UCLA at the time, and she was graduating like magna cum laude, something like that, and nobody cared because everyone was talking about me, her like little this thing. She has since by far surpassed me and shown me up in about 1,000 ways. But was Channing, was she interested in the entertainment industry also, or was she a business person and then that's how she felt? She was in film school. Yeah.
What? So that's major competition there.
Yeah. Yeah. But we are still very close and it's all good. And there's no surpassing her now at this point. Like she is just stratospheric, and we don't have that sense of competition anymore.
Well, you want to tell the listeners, right? Your sister is a very successful Hollywood executive, right?
Yeah, she was the first Black woman to be the president of ABC.
Wow.
The president of the television network. And then now she's the first Black woman to be the chairman of Warner Brothers.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Pretty crazy.
But so you guys, I mean, because we're on this subject, you and your sister are on opposite sides of this strike.
We are not, in the sense that Channing has always been a champion of artists.
Oh, okay.
And she wants to work. She wants everybody working again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like that's the bottom line. Is she's a champion of artists, and she wants very much for all of us to figure this out, you know, and like, you know, it is like the ideas of coming, like, what's the solution? Like, everybody wants to keep doing this. Like, what are we doing? You know, like, you know, right. And she's not calling in from, you know, her jet to talk about things. Like, you know, she's on the ground trying to make it better for everybody.
I mean, there's the example is that, you know, two sisters can sit and talk amicably about this, where it's really been not like that on the outside.
No, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds there with it, but the point is, I think everybody wants, you know, villains have been made in this, and some people have spoken poorly. Mm-hmm. And said dumb things.
Yes.
So, you know, but I think at the end of the day, we all want a solution, because everyone wants, like, it's not going to stop. We're not going to not do this. And dumb, crazy things that are put out there, like, yeah, we're going to take, you know, the background's picture and use it ad infinitum for the rest of their lives. Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's super villain shit. So, like, knock that stuff off and let's get back to the table and sit down and, like, come up with a solution. You know, we are solution people.
Yeah.
Solution people.
And there are good people on both sides with open ears, despite what the headlines say.
100%.
Can we talk about that show that I've seen every episode and my wife has seen every episode? I don't know what we can say or not. Can we name other actors that were in it?
Yes, because I know you're it's amorphous. Are we talking about our show?
No, because
you guys. Okay, start there. No. You guys go with that one.
Well, that's how we met. Our 6 episodes, which, by the way, on all websites and web pages, because we did a show together in the 90s that we shot 6 episodes. They canceled it, and they didn't even air all 6. They only aired 4.
How dare they? With you two?
It's only listed. And by the way, and this is a 90s. I keep wanting to have him on, is John Cameron Mitchell, who, you know, huge in the theater world, but he was at the time creating an off-Broadway show called Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Okay, but I remember 100% walking past his trailer. We were talking, and I'm like, "What are you working on right now?" And he's like, "I'm just." It's this Broadway musical about a transsexual German war bride. And I'm like, that sounds great.
And I know. I remember we both looked at each other and he's like, I'm looking for investors too. And I was like, I remember writing him a check. I was like, I'm writing you a check. I invested in the off-Broadway. He then didn't need investors for the Broadway production because it was such a huge success. Broadway.
And how great is it? Hedwig is just...
I mean, literally iconic. I mean, for all of us anyway. And you know, anyway, but so we were doing this show together, and John was one of those people too, who couldn't believe he was working on a situation comedy because he was a Northwestern graduate. He was working, he is a thinker. He is, I mean, I think he's a genius, but he was writing this and it was purely financial. Like, he was like, I'm going to take the money. I'm going to use this money to do the things I want to do and create. And he was pretty honest about it. But we had the best time. So no, that's not the show David's talking about, because not many people saw that show. Merrin,
I'm gonna go look it up though. It sounds phenomenal.
To what we think about it, but
I did, by the way, just work with Daisy.
Stop! You did?
She directed.
Wow.
the episodes of my show.
Oh
She's
my
great.
gosh.
So great.
Oh my God. So we met, listen, like you said, those jobs that you think are going to be the big thing and change our lives. And it was a stepping stone to bigger things. And we've since worked with, but our friendship even. I mean, I look at every single job I've had over the years and think that there's not one, even if it was an overall negative experience, there's one thing I can mine from there that is like the gift. So, but no, David, I think, is talking about the other show that you did, which would have been in the early 2000s. Maybe around
Kevin James. Yeah, Kevin James was the lead of the show.
There's that one. Right, too. See, she's been, guys, this guest of ours, let me tell you, I don't think there is someone who has worked more and worked harder, by the way, because like you said, the way you started, where you were doing the sassy sidekick and you would come in, but you would steal the freaking show. Like every audience member, we did our show in front of a live audience. I mean, Jerry Stiller loved you. I don't think there's an episode that we do of this podcast where we don't talk about Jerry Stiller.
Oh my
he
God,
comes up
seriously,
all the time.
Jerry has a connection to almost everyone that's on here.
He is in the next Kevin Bacon. It's Jerry Stiller.
6 degrees
the
of
6
Jerry
degrees.
Stiller.
And how long was his career? I mean, like so long.
I mean, and it really for him, like the success of it really came in his 70s. You know, it was like not to him. I mean, he had worked an entire lifetime, but for people who started to know him as a household name, he was in his 70s.
It was Frank Costanza, right? That's what I mean. The entire world knew who he was. But the thing about the Kevin James show that I miss so much is that it was the blue collar nature of the show, you know, working class people. And I feel like my kids are so seduced by, you know, these dating shows and the housewives, and everyone lives in multi-million-dollar mansions. And that's all anyone wants to see right now.
You know, obviously, the Steve Carell show is the last, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right. The Scranton, Pennsylvania.
First of all, we should always do interviews like this and then just
beat around the bush.
I mean, we've kind of blown it a couple times.
I think we might have started a new drinking game or something, right?
Guess what we're talking about.
I think that was part of the reason why that show was so successful, is because it was, you know, you know, the every person thing is a big. That's what I hate about like the Vander whatevers and all the I can't. Oh
my God, I can't watch it anymore.
I don't watch it at all, and I don't let my kids watch it. It's like I can't.
But were those years, because you did it for many years? Were those great years? Was it a great experience with that amazing cast?
It was a great experience because it was just a lot of fun. I love a multicam. I wish more of those. It's the best schedule, and it's just the closest you get to doing theater and making a ton of money. Like, you know, it's just like, that's the kind of thing that, you know, repeats all the time. And which is why the fight for residuals is so important. I mean, because like, honestly, like that during the pandemic, like that helped keep the lights on, you know, like that's like, it's just like those things carry forever.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
Love it. They love it.
We have to, I know we keep jumping all over the place, and we're just going to have you back when
we can talk freely
soon where we can talk freely. But the thing that we can talk freely about that I have seen on your social media is that you get up and you rock out and sing.
I do.
At like what is this hidden talent, and when do you do this, and is it your band, or do you just get up like on an open mic? Like, how do you rehearse?
Okay,
because you have pipes, you can sing. Like what can't she do, folks?
That is
ice skate, sing.
When's the show? Christine and I are there.
We just had one. So literally, it's my friend who is a singer-songwriter. He has the number 2 song right now with Pierce the Veil. He wrote the song Emergency Contact. So he's a songwriter, but we met because he is still paying the bills by being a spin instructor. So he's literally my spin instructor, and we became really good friends. And we have this whole like group of music people. Speaking of 90s people, Dave Holmes is a part of our whole little group. Dave Holmes, the VJ from
Love,
one of my favorites. And anyway, Curtis, who's the writer and the spin instructor, has this band that he puts together and invites a bunch of different singers like Carrie Brothers, who's like a big pro, and Garrison Starr, who was just on tour with the Indigo Girls. Like there's real people. Candace Devine, who's from Arizona and has a whole festival she does in May now. I am imitating Jack Black, honestly. Like it's not even like it's like me. It's my pretend rock star thing. So I did Panama last time. I mean, it's all always like Highway to Hell and like crazy rock stuff, and it's super fun.
It's incredible. Merrin, I get to see them because that's how I see your life, is through social media, which is delightful for me. But you are fearless, and it's amazing to me. Like you're just like the personification of like good energy. You are that's why I also think like you and my mom, like you're just like talkers, and you love life and you embrace life.
How is my sweet Joan? How's she doing?
Sweet Joan is inside with Ella right now. Ella's home for a bit before we're all going on a family vacation. So I've got the fam here. So I am going to give her a big giant squeeze from you.
Oh my God.
We have to wrap. This is really upsetting because this flew by.
There was too much content. Even
not talking freely, we were able to over talk.
There should be a part 2, but this was awesome. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me on, you guys. I really appreciate it, and I love you.
You're the best. Mwah. Mwah.
Thanks. Thank you, Merrin.
Bye, guys.
Well, that was great.
I mean, she's a bright light, right?
She is a bright light, and I loved getting her take. It was really great to hear Channing is on our side and working, and everybody's looking for a resolution here.
It was hopeful. Very. Yep. Very
hopeful. And just good to know that we can talk about projects without naming projects. And still have a good time. We didn't even cover enough 90s stuff, but we will we'll try to have her back at some point.
Yeah, all of these shows go by so fast. You can't get it all in.
But always fun to chat with friends. And thanks everybody for listening.
Happy early birthday, Christine Taylor.
Thank you, David Lascher. Next week I will be a year older. And
a year better. A year wiser.
Better. All right, everybody.
Have a great week, guys.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe and give us 5 stars.
And please follow us on Instagram at HeyDude, the 90s Called. See you next time.